Testing the sound.
Yeah, that's what we gotta fix. So maybe that.
Testing the sound.
Oh, good. Wait, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to get.
Oh, get out of here. Yeah, escape should work. There we go.
Okay, this meeting will now come to order, the Bountiful City Council meeting on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. And we are grateful to Robert Peterson, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Get everyone to please stand and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. Really appreciate that. And now we're grateful to Marla Keller, who's here representing the Mueller Park Stake, who will offer our opening prayer.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to gather here today as citizens of this beautiful city of Bountiful. We're grateful for the water we have received to green up these beautiful mountains and for the opportunities that we have to live in this free country. We ask a special blessing to be with the council, the city council, as they are here to represent those of us that have voted them in, that they will have the best interests of the people, that they will continue to hold up the values of this beautiful city. And we're grateful for the time and the talents that they have and their ability to continue to have this city be a wonderful place to live. We ask a special blessing to be with Councilman Higginson, that he will have good health and strength, and that he will know the gratitude that we have of his service and how much he is loved. We continue to ask thee to be with Mayor Kendall Harris, to bless her, to bless Governor Cox, and to bless the President of the United States, that they will all continue to be watched over and blessed. And Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to gather here together as a community and to show our gratitude for this beautiful place in which we live. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer, Marla, especially your personal thanks for Councilman Higginson's, for his recovery. And it's a special night for us because it's the first time in 3 months that we've been all together as a council. And so I really appreciated your prayer and what you said. And it's true, it's miraculous that that Councilman Higginson is with us tonight. And so he's a fighter, and we're grateful for his progress, and he just continues to beat the odds. And it's really nice to have him here, and he doesn't like being in the spotlight, so I'll stop it at that. But he still isn't able to fully utilize his voice, and so tonight he'll be voting with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and he's not able to really speak yet, but he's completely mentally there. And so we're really grateful that he's with us tonight, that we can all be together. And also, just a quick personal note, Marla, your dad served so well as a councilman here for Bountiful City and did so much for us. And it's on the wall, it says, "In God we trust," and that was very important to him to have that be on our wall here in our chambers. And so it's kind of ironic that you were here to pray tonight. And I appreciate him and what he has done for our city and for you and your contributions and your family. So thank you for being here tonight. And we understand, Kellers, if you need to leave at any point, but you're welcome to stay. We will now move to our public comment period. We'd love to hear from anyone that would like to speak. You have 2 minutes, and please state your name and where you live.
Ron Mortensen, South Bountiful. I'd just like to request that Galen tonight, when he talks about the budget, that he provides us some details about the mayor and council's salary increases. I talked with the Utah State Retirement System today, and in order to be in Tier 1, an individual has to have been enrolled in the URS sometime prior to June or July 2011. They didn't have to have continual service, but they had to be enrolled in the system prior to that time. And last year, the required salary for Tier 1 was $15,492. So the new salary requirement in the budget of $18,000 is a 16% increase, which seems just a little high to me. I couldn't get the increased rate when I talked to them today. Tier 1 is a defined benefit plan with a retirement benefit of 2% of the average high 3-year salary. And if an elected or appointed official does not qualify for Tier 1, in other words, if they didn't have at least some service under URS prior to 2011, then the only retirement benefit that they receive is a 401k. And according to URS, not that many people are enrolled under Tier 1 anymore. Interestingly, it was our State Senator Dan Lillianquist, if you remember Dan, he's the one that did the revision of the state retirement system back then. So I look forward to Galen addressing this. First of all, if the mayor qualifies for Tier 1, and second, if the Tier 1 salary requirement for 2025 and 26 is really 16% higher. Thanks.
Thanks for that. I'm sure that Galen will answer that question when it comes time when we discuss it. And if not, then if he doesn't have that information handy at his fingertips, then please talk to staff members and we can get you the information, or you can talk to myself. Any other public comment? We'd love to hear from anyone. You have 2 minutes. State your name and where you live.
Gary Davis, 2814 South, 500 West. Mother Nature decided yesterday afternoon to test the battery backup systems on my radios. They passed. Heavy winds, a branch fell down, took out one of the power lines on my street. And power company was there and they fixed it. They said it'd take about Alan said it'd take about 2 hours, and it took, I think, a little under 2 hours to do. So did a very good job. I was out there watching them, make sure they stayed safe, did what they needed to do, and it was great to watch these professionals in action and doing their job. So kudos and thank you to the power company for the work they do.
Thank you so much.
My name is David Harrison, 285 East, 1100 South. They put a new street light on our street in the last 2 weeks, and I want to thank Darlene at the front desk for taking my calls, and Alan Johnson. He said he would send someone out to look at it, but my concern is the following, and I've got a copy of this for you guys. So I'd like to know what the city ordinance is regarding the street lights. Where can I read the ordinance that gives the specifications and the requirements for new development and or new replacement of lights? What is a specific light fixture and what was installed? Specifically, the manufacturer's specifications. Has the city verified that the light installed was the light as specified? What is the distribution distance and light distribution specifications of the fixture? Is there a photometric report on the light fixture? What is the Kelvin rating? These items are noted considering the fixtures are designated for uses in subdivision and street lighting. And there's other lights that are made for like major freeways, bigger intersections, those kind of areas. The reason is this light is so bright. I'm 3 houses away and I can read the newspaper in my living room. So when I talked to Alan, he said he would send a city engineer or city inspector or somebody out to look at it with a photometer. But you guys should have a set specification on lighting that gives the distance the light is shown in the street and into neighboring areas. And so my concern is that they just put a light up that they had, because this light's too bright. And they said they couldn't put a shield on it, which would have kept the light in the street. So I've got a list of stuff here I give to you guys. And if you'd follow through for the next meeting, I can get that information.
Thanks. Is there a staff member, if you're willing to talk to him, thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to say something for our public comment period?
And I'm just going to echo, I'm his neighbor right next door. I'm one house closer.
For the record, if you don't mind sharing your name.
Robert Peterson.
Robert Peterson,
291
thanks.
East, 1100 South. And yeah, I'm just echoing his comments. The light that was there beforehand was perfectly fine and doing a good job. I assume that these are LED lights that they've put in, and they told us they have different settings on it, and they have it at the lowest setting, and I'm sure it's power conservation as well as providing lighting. But yeah, my bedroom's on the front side of our house, and we've had to go to sleeping in masks just because it is so bright. So yeah, I'd like it addressed as well, just voicing my concern.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during our public comment period?
Hello, I'm Casey Keller at 1937 East Maple Holloway. I didn't even plan to say this, but I thought we've been talking about it, and I thought I'd just bring it up. The intersection at 1800 South and Bountiful Boulevard Marla was in an accident in January. She's still recovering from an accident, totaled her car from a northbound truck that didn't even slow down and T-boned her and totaled both cars. Matt, we've talked about it real briefly, but since then I've seen other almost accidents, and I probably, in the 15 years I've been there, I've probably seen almost 24 almost accidents, and had a friend from high school that his boyfriend died at that intersection as well. So my suggestion or request for consideration is that either both stop signs, or for sure the stop sign that you see heading northbound has some flashing lights. I think anybody who's distracted, or anybody who's not from here, like the driver who crashed into Marla, don't know when to stop, because they don't have a stop sign all the way down until you get to North Salt Lake and at the golf course. So roundabout to there's only one other stop sign. So that's all. Thanks so much for all that you do. Bye.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment tonight for our public comment period? Thank you very much. We will now move to our to consider approval of the minutes of previous meetings held on April 21st and 22nd, 23rd and 24th of 2025.
Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes for budget week, April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Now we will move to council reports, and we'll start with you, Councilman Murray.
I had an opportunity to spend some time with the Bountiful Museum Committee, and saw some of the proofs for their upcoming kiosks that they'll be using to digitize Bountiful's history, and thought it might be a unique opportunity if we were able to bring a kiosk to City Hall for a period of time for visitors, just to see what kind of history is in the kiosks before we find a final placement. But it was nice to see their enthusiasm and excitement for the history of Bountiful, and grateful that we have residents that care for that.
Excellent, thank you. Councilwoman Price Hewish.
Thank you, Mayor. I will also be giving this will just be counted as the BCYC report. It's the second to last week of school, and kids are very busy with finishing projects and tests and sports and all kinds of craziness here this last bit. So I do want to just report on the Bountiful City Youth Council. They will be hosting a stomp on Main Street, actually at Bountiful Town Square on Friday night. And I want to thank all of the many departments in the city that are supporting this event. It is planning and police and parks, and to put something like this on really requires a lot of assistance. And they are inviting all youth in Bountiful who are in 9th to 12th grades, and it will be from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. this Friday. Also, I just want to report that our just incredible BCYC advisor, John Cook, and I have been here every day last week and this week interviewing these 60-plus applicants to be on the BCYC next year. And it is so encouraging. After every round of interviews, we just leave feeling very uplifted and elevated by the exceptional nature of these kids who want to serve and do well and in our community and make a difference. And I think every bit as much as we represent the citizens of Bountiful as city council members, they are representing the youth of the city. And they do so many things. They have many requests coming in right now. It's a busy time for them to be giving service at many of our kind of flagship events that happen within the city, such as Coats for Kids, the Chalk Art Festival, and Summerfest. And they're always there lending their service and doing good. So I just want to say a huge shout out to them. And also something that is also happening in the near future is we all know that Memorial Day is coming up, and I want to acknowledge that there is a group of private citizens in the city that put up flags at all of the veterans' graves at the Bountiful City Cemetery. And this is truly a labor of love, and this just a remarkable group of people. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I have a few things to report. Along the lines of Councilwoman Price Hewish's report with Memorial Day coming, there's a Veterans Day program next door at the Bountiful Veterans Park. It's more of a South Davis Regional Veterans Park. And that program will be Memorial Day at 11 o'clock. And it's always such a nice program. We really appreciate the committee and the work that they do to make that such a beautiful event. So all are invited to that. Just a few committees that I serve on to report back on. I'm on the Davis Loan Fund board, and they do gap financing for small businesses. And so if there are businesses within Davis County that one of their missions is to have job creation in Davis County. And so if people are aware of small businesses that need gap financing, that need loans in order to create more jobs in Davis County, then there is a Davis Loan Fund, and the information is online where people can apply for loans as a small business. Also, just a report, the South Davis Fire from the Fire Board. I was talking to the chief yesterday. He was out of state evaluating a new fire truck that is being sent here, so that's exciting. We also really appreciate their work. They were up on the mountain last week rescuing a hiker, and it just makes me so appreciate these first responders that are there when we need them in moments of crisis. And so the things that they do for us, I really appreciate. Also, I serve on the sewer district board, and just to report back that they are working on a plan where the Wasatch Resource Recovery Project that took food waste and that was reusing that food waste and converting it to energy. They are now entering into a contract with Opal where for 3 years, an entity named Opal will be overseeing the financial and the operations there of Wasatch Resource Recovery. And so just by way of report, they are going to, it's a 3-year period where they will manage the Wasatch Resource Recovery, Opal will, and then at that point, there will be a time where they're revisiting what will happen from then, they're going forward. Also at South Davis Sewer District, they are working on construction and upgrades at the south plant. They're working on a new administration building, and so that's just some of the going-ons there at the South Davis Sewer District. Councilwoman Child, do you have anything to report tonight?
I'll keep it quick. As mentioned previously, we're coming up on a lot of wonderful summer events that a lot of volunteers in the city work together on. The Veterans Day program, Memorial Day, or the Veterans Memorial Day program, concerts in the park, the car show, the parade, chalk art, they are all in the works right now. And members from these groups want to express the gratitude to the city, the police, and the streets, and the parks, and power, et cetera, everyone who works together to make this happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bradshaw.
Thanks, Mayor. A couple updates from committees I'm assigned to, or organizations. The first is the Bountiful Davis Art Center is going to be having an opening of a new show on May 30th at 6 p.m. This is a show that is focused on arts and healing, and kind of pairing some discussions about counseling and healing with the opening of a new show. So I would invite the public to come and attend that new opening. The next would be that the Bountiful Trails Advisory Committee is hosting the annual Trail Day to work on trail projects up on the mountain. That will be Saturday, May 31st from 8 in the morning until 11. There's 4 different projects in different canyons, so if a certain part of our mountain hillside is near and dear to your heart, from North Canyon or Mueller Park or Holbrook, there's projects in each. There's a Sign Up Genius link on the city's website so that we can get a count of how many people for which projects to meet our obligations with the Forest Service with volunteer hours there. And then finally, the South Davis Recreation District had their monthly meeting last night. The meeting was heavy on budget discussions. As the rest of you are aware, this has been a key focus of the South Davis Recreation District Board. And I'm happy to report we've made continued progress on addressing the budget issues. There's still more work to be done. Big kudos to Tyson and Galen for the work that they have done through our contract with South Davis Rec to help put in place an accounting system that is helping drive better decisions about which programs and activities are hitting their targets and making money versus those that maybe need to be reevaluated. The bond that all of the residents of the rec district are paying that built that facility will be retiring in 2026. And so it's inspiring the rec district board to have some early discussions about what should come next and some of the facility needs that exist at the rec district, opportunities that are out there to continue to serve the population of the 5-city area. I feel like the budget discussions are good, they're early, but I wanted to make sure everyone was aware that there are discussions happening about how to take care of those costs and needs. And while I feel really positive about the way we've helped restructure and realign so that they're not as reliant on reserves, there's still some work to do in that regard as well. And I'm always happy to go into more detail and show off Tyson's spreadsheets if anyone's interested.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay,
On
great.
the Wasatch Resource Recovery,
Yeah.
does the new arrangement, will that ease some of the upward pressures on sewer rates?
I hope so. The new arrangement will allow the sewer district to not be focusing on outside ventures and will allow them to just focus on the operations of what their mission, their core mission is of being a sewer district. And so they'll still own, I think it's 20% moving forward. And so, but Opal is very motivated to do well. So if they do well, then the sewer district will benefit. But I think it really remains to be seen what happens. But over the course of the next months and 3 years, then hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be able to see if it's moving in the right trajectory to be able to benefit the sewer district. So, thanks. Okay, Councilman Higginson, do you, through Councilman Murray, have a comment? Okay, that was your question. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now move to the, do we have a youth council report tonight? Okay, you gave the council report. Okay, thank you for that. And now we'll consider approval of expenditures greater than $1,000 paid on April 16th, 23rd, and 30th, 2025, as well as the March 2025 expense report. I just have a quick question. So this may be a question for you, Gary. On the expenditures, I saw the expense for the tree trimming, and I just wondered, it's a little off topic, but is this tree trimming crew the same one that's doing work for the fire fuel mitigation work, or is this a power department expense?
Can you point me to a page?
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
It's just,
There's some on page 36.
37, yeah, 37 and 36,
Okay.
where there's some tree trimming expenses. It's
So-
Diamond Tree.
I'm just looking, so if it says light and power, then it is related to it's just one of the crews that we've hired to do tree trimming for the power department.
Okay,
If it's going to be through the grant that we've received, it will be billed through probably parks. Have we determined that yet, Galen?
I don't know on the actual account, but it will be Diamond Tree. They are doing the work now, but there's not been anything come through for payment yet.
Yeah, so
Okay.
same company, but you'll be able to see based on the department which is for which project.
sure. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Okay, any other questions on item number 6?
Mayor, I'm happy to make a motion to approve the expenditures greater than $1,000 from April 16th, 23rd, and 30th, along with the March expense report.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the voting is unanimous. And now we will move to item number 7, which is Mr. Tyson Beck.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. And if I may, Richard, it's wonderful to have you back. So grateful you're doing well. Tonight, we have the opportunity to consider an agreement, a continued agreement with the South Davis Recreation District. Our current agreement to provide administrative services and field maintenance and lighting to their operations ends at the end of June. So we need to renew this agreement, and it is our recommendation that it is renewed. But just some specifics on the agreement itself. So we do provide accounting, finance, accounts payable, HR, payroll, IT, lawn care and irrigation, parking lot plowing and sweeping, field maintenance and lighting, all of these different types of services to help the recreation district function. And in total, it takes 12 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee, a total of about 341 hours per month to provide these services for the recreation district. And for that, we were proposing that the city would be compensated $20,839 per month. And this would last from from July 1st of 25 through June 30th of 26. And this agreement would be, or this payment arrangement would be about a 5.52% increase from what we were charging in our fiscal year 25, so our current budget cycle. And so that's kind of the specifics of it. Last night, the Recreation District Board did approve this agreement, just for your information. So they have already approved it, and as long as the City Council is in agreement, we could immediately move forward with signing this agreement. This has been a long-standing agreement since 2007, so we have provided these services for many years, and our current staffing level is commensurate with these services to be provided. Happy to answer specific questions the council might have about the agreement or the pricing or anything that you would like to know.
Thanks. I had a question about the discount that we give to the rec center. I think it's generous. I think it's good that we want to be a good neighbor and help this entity, but at the same time, I think we should charge them what it costs us to provide. I don't think we should subsidize at all through our employees' time. And so just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm glad that you brought it up. And I thank you I neglected to mention that, yes, we run our numbers and try and estimate what we believe it does cost us to provide these services, and then we do discount it, the 10% mentioned. So first thought that comes to mind is we estimate this based off of an estimate of hours and then an estimate of what we expect to pay in our fiscal year 26 for personnel services and for operation and maintenance costs. So I say that to say that it's not a perfect number. So we don't track our time. I don't track my time. I spend this many hours a day on the city and this many hours on the recreation district, nor do any of the other staff that provide these services. So we don't know the exact quantity of hours, so we can't get down to the exact perfect dollar amount. So the estimate that we have provided, we do feel is a good estimate, but we don't know that it is a perfect dollar amount. So this does allow us to give a little bit of a discount just in case we might be overcharging based off of the estimate that we provide. So it's partially an attempt to say we recognize there could be some flaw in the estimate, and we discounted a little bit for that. Another thought that comes to mind is because the recreation district has their main facility, their only facility here in Bountiful, they do provide many different services to our residents, and it's a great community benefit to have it in our city. We do feel that there's a great opportunity to offer this as a support to their operations. Now, again, that can be debated whether that should be offered or not. The percentage could be dropped. It could be zero. But this 10% discount has been given to them for at least the past 10 years. So just for historical context on that.
Okay, so it's something we could discuss, and I don't know if the council would want to consider a lesser discount or something along those lines, but it's an interesting, but yeah, thanks for the background on that. It's good to understand why you're why you're coming to this. And it has been a long-standing agreement, I know. So I'd be interested to hear from anyone that wants to speak about it, and also Councilwoman Bradshaw, I know that you're on the board, so you have some perspective too, I'm sure.
I have a couple comments.
Sure.
From Richard. Just to confirm, this agreement is not a subsidy, but is paid for by the rec district.
It is paid for by the rec district, yes.
Okay, and thanks to Councilwoman Bradshaw for her work on the board. And lastly, to the staff, on average, how accurate is Tyson?
I would never bet against him at Vegas.
Okay.
Mayor, to add some, maybe some additional thoughts to those Tyson shared. I will say over the years, the other 4 cities have wanted to make sure that this was truly a good deal. Throwing no shade Bountiful's way, but just wanting to verify that, you know, as the board considers its fiduciary responsibilities to the district, they have felt the need to check and see if they were to bring some of these services in-house with rec district staff, if they were to contract it out to private third parties, what would those costs be? And so have checked in over the last several years with other service providers about what the cost would be. From a for-profit service provider to do payroll and accounting and those types of services, the district has found that it would be more than what Bountiful is charging. They'd also have to make some software changes and things of that nature. But they have felt the need to check in. I think it's a trust but verify a relationship with the other 4 cities, which being Bountiful's representative, I've appreciated that they felt like they should check in. We discussed yesterday in the board meeting this agreement and the cost, because it is an increased cost to the rec district at a time that they're really working to realign their budget. And so the 10% discount is noted and appreciated from a good neighbor perspective. Tiff Miller, the executive director of the rec district, was here to present in April. And if you recall, when he did that presentation and update on the rec district, he talked about where the rec district's participants come from. And overwhelmingly, the majority are Bountiful residents that are utilizing the facility. I think there are times some of our neighboring cities, since we're the biggest of the 5 cities, might say, well, you know, why does Bountiful get to have the fun thing and the benefits that come from it? It's most convenient for our residents. It's easiest for us to use. And we are using it the most. And so I think there is an argument to be made that part of that, you know, the legacy we've had, and that it started as the bubble and then became something that served the entire region, is the way we have helped and reached out to offer some of these services at a better price point than they could achieve in the private market, but still doing the analysis to make sure that we have the transparency to our taxpayers, that they're not overly covering the burden, but we do kind of get some perks from having this be in our home and convenient to our residents. So it's not a perfect system, but to me, it seems that it's one of those good conversations to have among neighbors about how we share a facility and an asset that makes sense for all of us.
What other comments or questions do we have?
I would just want to recognize your concern. I think for me, I feel comfortable with this here today as it's been presented and in the report. I do think that the South Davis Rec District is a huge value-adding facility to the city. I do remember the report by Tiff Miller when he was talking about the largest user group, and not just because we have the largest population. Per population, we have the largest user group. It is an improvement to the city. It's utilizing a space in a positive way. and hosts of many, many events and things that are adding to our community. I think if we do want to discuss this, I think our policy retreat would be a good time to have a discussion about it. If I would be open to a discussion, but as you know, in January when we have our retreat. But for today, I feel comfortable with this, and I would support the 10% discount, especially as described by Tyson, and that it's not an exact science, but if we wanted to look and dig into those numbers more, we could do that in January.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 2025-03, allowing Bountiful City to renew the interlocal cooperation agreement for the city employment services to be provided to the South Davis Recreation District.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so that motion passes unanimously, and now we will move to item number 8, to Mr. Galen Rasmussen. To consider approval of the fiscal year 2025-26 tentative budget and related items. Yeah, we're getting our
Trying to
technology
get all the
going.
technology to work here properly.
Thank
so-
you.
Sorry about
Excellent.
that. It's a little delayed, but we'll see how it goes here. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Also, point of personal privilege as well. It is good to have you here, Richard, and yeah, glad you're here and doing well. Mayor and members of the council, as you know, every year by state law, we need to consider adoption of a tentative budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1st. In this case, July 1st, 2025, and ends on June 30th, 2026. And so this budget is that budget for consideration tonight. Here's just a brief overview of the process we've gone through to this point and where we're headed from tonight. The budget process starts in it's never not considered, let's just put it that way. There's always something being talked about, whether you approving expenditures as you go along for a previous budget or current one we're in, or consideration of what's coming up. But we start this process in January formally. As a staff, we have a retreat with you to consider vision and priorities and framework for the budget. And then we have budget preparation that takes place in February and March. The city manager, myself, and HR director review department budgets and balance revenues with expenses. And then we have time with you that you can go through in public meetings to consider each of the functional areas and their budget requests, which becomes the tentative budget, which arrives at where we're at tonight on May 13th for consideration of adoption of that budget. From this point through almost the end of June, it'll be available for public inspection so they can take a look at that. We'll post this to our website. We'll have a hard copy available as well. I'll point this is a change from the staff report that I provided to you for some timing issues to meeting the council needs with some upcoming training that's coming up. We'll be splitting the budget adoption process into a couple of dates rather than just one. The first will be June 10th. That it will be for consideration of the amendment of a utility transfer that we do every year from the Light and Power Fund to the general fund of the city. That would be amending the current year's transfer that we're in, and then a separate public hearing for that same transfer, but in the fiscal year 2026 budget. And then the public hearings on June 24th will be to consider the other aspects of the budget that will be talked about, including reopening of the current year to consider budget adjustments, compensation increases for employees, including executive employees, and then adoption of the tentative budget with certain adjustments that have become necessary because of public meetings that have been considered necessary to adopt a final budget. And then there'll be ordinances and so forth that will adopt those things. So that's just kind of a snapshot there. So from now until June 24th, we'll be busy with a few meetings and consideration of that. This is an overall summary of the budget in graphical form. We have 30 departments and 16 funds, and the sources and uses of those funds are outlined. About 70% of the funds we get in are from taxes and user fees, and that goes to cover primarily our operations, which are comprised of personnel services and operations and maintenance, some things like utilities, maintenance agreements, and things of that nature. And then the other things that we fund are our capital needs, and we do that through a combination of those same revenue sources plus some of our reserve funds that we've set aside over time, since primarily we fund our operations through pay-as-you-go, and we do occasionally have debt, as you know, for certain things as we have needs as goes along. For the fiscal year 26 budget, the net budget for this upcoming year is down there at the bottom, $105,889,335. Now, the key points of interest for this budget, as all our budgets are, they are balanced with regard to revenues and expenses. Your council policy priorities that were restated and reconsidered in January when we met with you for a retreat are what guides the process of the budget and what things are considered for funding. There is no property tax increase proposed in this budget, and in the tentative budget is shown as about $3.5 million in total revenue from that source. There's a listing, and I won't go through all of these, but just so you can see, there are certain fee increases that are involved. Notably, there are increases in the water department and power department, some of the other funds, as well as the general fund departments for various things, and they're all listed there. The budget does include a 5% cost of living adjustment for full-time employees, and it does include also merit increases for those that are eligible for that, as well as some selected market adjustments that come from evaluating where our employees by category or by type of job, how they fit within the market which we are employed by, which is local government and state government. And then the tentative budget right now, because we didn't have our quotes in from our insurer, does include a 12% increase for medical insurance. That will likely come in at 7%, and so that final budget will be adjusted down for that. So that is one of those adjustments that will need to be put in place for the final budget. And when I come back to you in June on the 24th, those will be included, and I'll have some slides that will give you the totals there. There's one position that is new in the budget, and that's an assistant golf superintendent in the golf department. Now, just to go over this in rapid fashion, I've summarized each of the funds and where we are with the 2026 budget and where we were with the budget for the current year we're operating in, which is fiscal year 2025. And you can see each of those there. Our general fund is all those tax-supported, and capital fund are all those tax-supported operations, so police and streets and administration and so forth. The debt service fund accounts for our general obligation debt. The RAP tax fund, these other funds that are special funds for special purposes. And then some of our enterprise funds, so our recycling department, stormwater, water fund, light and power fund, and all those are fee-supported funds. And the additional ones here as well. And then our internal service funds, which are funds set aside for meeting certain purposes internally, servicing our departments, whether it be for insurance purposes or for replacing of computer equipment. This is kind of a listing of those adjustments that have come about because of the meetings we've had with the council committees that has been felt necessary to adjust this tentative budget. And so these figures will be made in the final budget that you'll adopt in June. And so we'll go from there with those. And before we get to this portion, I think in answer
Jalen,
to...
can you go back one slide, please?
Oh, go back one slide? Mm-hmm. I can do that. How am I going to do that? should go backwards, but it doesn't. There we go. Yeah. Is that the slide?
He wasn't done reading, but we're done now.
Is that good? Okay, all right. And in answer to the question that was asked by Ron Mortensen, our city manager probably has more information that could be added to that, so turn the time over to Gary.
Thanks, Galen. State code requires that the mayor of a municipality receive a minimum salary and that the city contribute to the retirement system on their behalf. URS, Utah Retirement Systems, tells cities or any participant in the retirement system whether or not an employee is Tier 1, which was part of the retirement system before changes back in, I want to say 2012, 2011, or if they're Tier 2. And so it was URS that told us that the mayor was in the Tier 1 position, I'm assuming because you were employed by a school district or a city or a university sometime.
I was employed by the University of Utah many years ago.
So that's the reason for Tier 1. And as for the increase in salary, I appreciate the question. I did some quick research and inflation. So the compensation for the elected officials for you all has not changed in at least the 12 years I've been here. And in that 12-year period, inflation has increased about 25 to 30%, depending upon which metric from the Bureau of Labor Statistics you want to rely on. So 16% doesn't seem unreasonable.
So as it states in the minutes, it's a raise, and so then the mayor would be compensated at $1,500 per month. That's what the law, that's what the state is requiring, so.
So it is slightly higher than the state is requiring. And that's in part so we don't have to watch to the penny every year and come back every year and increase incrementally. We made the change or are recommending the change to the council so that we don't have to do this again for a few years.
Thank you for that explanation. And I assure you that we are not in this role for the money. But good questions. Thanks for the clarification on that.
And just a clarification further is that the only reason you're eligible for Tier 1 is because of previous employment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Right, not here. And it was part.
I just happened to have enough years prior employment that make me eligible for Tier 1.
Yeah, and we don't get to choose. We don't get to tell the state, sorry, she doesn't get to be Tier 1. They tell us.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, well, I really appreciate that answer for you, and hopefully that makes sense. If you have further questions, we're happy to talk about it further. As Galen, as Mr. Rasmussen went through this presentation, it's kind of a lot. It's an overview, but we've been working on this really for many months now, and this isn't the end of it because we will be voting on this and hearing public hearings in the coming weeks and months as we consider the budget. So thank you for that overview. And is there okay, so we're approving the tentative budget tonight, if you're so inclined, and are there any questions from council members?
No, as Richard, I'd make a motion to approve.
And can I also ask a point of clarification as well?
Okay.
There's really two things that need to be done to consider for adoption the budget, which you've mentioned, and then secondly, to set the time and place for public hearings for 2 different times now, for June 10th and for June 24th for those items.
Thank you. Okay, excellent. And so Richard is making those motions?
And then I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Excellent, that is unanimous. Thank you for that. And now we will move to item number 9 with Mr. Lloyd Sheeny.
I think we have to do a second motion.
Oh,
And I'd be happy to make a second motion.
Okay.
I'm going to make it with a comment. The council and the mayor and the staff, I need you to leave that up so I have the dates, thanks, has put a lot of time for the last 6 months into this budget. We're proposing it because I think we're confident collectively in the way we've looked at it and worked on it and wrestled with policy decisions and things like that. But like any good piece of work, it can always be improved with peer review. So it's now the residents of the city's turn for the next 30-ish days to take a look and poke through this very robust budget document. And happy to hear if residents think there could be improvements made to this work product. So with that, I'll make the second motion, which is that we set the time for the public hearing for the tentative budget and the additional public hearings that are required for the 2025 amended utility transfer from light and power to the general fund and the 2026 utility transfer from light and power to the general fund, that take place on Tuesday, June 10th at 7 p.m. And that we also set the date and time of Tuesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. For the reopening of the 24-25 fiscal year budget adjustments and compensation for employees, including executive municipal officers, and consideration of the adoption of the final fiscal year 25-26 budget with taxes, rates, and fees. I'm so glad you put that back up.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, that motion passes unanimously, and now we will move to item number 9 with Mr. Lloyd Cheney.
Thanks, Mayor. If you've driven up 1800 South or Mueller Park Road and over the last few months, you've noticed a series of barricades and concrete barrier elements along the north side of the road where we have a little bit of a minor slope failure, and the curb and gutter and sidewalk is decided to move north into the canyon a little bit. While it's not a huge problem, it is an inconvenience to the folks who like to walk on that sidewalk, and it's time that we fix that. Last fall, we hired a geotechnical engineering firm to help us evaluate what was causing this problem and to develop a solution that would repair those improvements. So based on those recommendations, the engineering department put together a set of plans and specifications to construct a gabion wall. I've given you a picture on page 70 of your packet. We have constructed one of these type retaining walls, not in the recent past, but in the last 12 years or so. They were chosen because they're fairly simple to construct, they're very cost effective, and they're certainly cheaper than some of the options as a precast product or a cast in place concrete wall. We felt that this was a really good alternative for this location. We were very pleased that we had 11 companies submit proposals on this, and I think that's a little bit of a sign of the maybe slowing economy. We're also pleasantly surprised to have the pricing come in significantly lower than our engineer's estimate. Taylor Electric, now that catches your attention when you have a company that you would expect to be experienced in heavy civil work to be the low bidder, and here their name is an electrician. But we've done a little research on them. Many of the players that are going to be involved in this project have worked for some really big companies like Kiewit and some other local contractors, and they have good heavy civil experience. They've also done some smaller projects for our neighboring cities like North Salt Lake and Syracuse. I had a chance to drive through their project at Syracuse and see what they're capable of doing. We did receive good favorable recommendations for them, and they seem to be thrilled to have this project, and they plan on starting right away as soon as the new budget year starts, so we have funding for the project. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions or give you any more explanation if that's necessary, but staff would recommend that the council accept Taylor Electric's proposal at the unit prices submitted in the bid tabulation attached to your staff report.
I do have a follow-up question. Or several. The north side, will it be excavated and removed to add the Gabion rock wall slope retention?
Yeah, there'll be a significant amount of excavation below what you see now, where the sidewalk is. We'll be working probably 10 feet farther out beyond the sidewalk to prepare the ground for the installation of those.
Follow-up then, will the westbound or eastbound lanes be closed?
No, we'll maintain two-way traffic.
Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Great. What other questions do we have, council?
I have a question. How high or how tall will this wall be?
Its total height is going to be about 9 feet. And so it will end roughly at sidewalk grade because we're going to build the sidewalk on the top of it. But it will extend down below what is the current ground surface because the way that the road was constructed, if you're going eastbound and you look to the south by the condominiums, you can see that that part of the hill has been cut away. But on the other side of the road, fill has been placed to build that up. That was just apparently some little anomaly in the topography right there that required a cut on one side and a fairly shallow fill on the other side. And that's what's settled off and is headed down the hill. So we need to intercept that fill material and build this wall on the native hillside, and it'll stay.
Any other questions?
Will the wall extend the entire length of where the fill was initially placed?
The best visual reference I could give you would be the photo on page 69. The extent of the wall is essentially the extent of where you see the closure for the sidewalk. The hill kind of returns on the east end into just a little knob of natural ground. And so we'll return the wall itself. Instead of just being parallel with the center line of the road, we'll actually turn those ends back in towards the road and catch the natural ground.
Thanks for that explanation and thanks for your work on this. What other questions? Any other questions?
Mayor, I could make a motion.
Okay.
That I move that we approve the proposal from Taylor Electric for the Mueller Park Road retaining wall at the unit prices noted in the bid tabulation in staff report.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, all the thumbs are up for that. That motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we'll move to Mr. Gary Hill to consider approval of resolution number 2025-04.
Thank you, Mayor. The staff report is on page 73, and it was written by Sophia Ward, our city recorder. I'm just presenting it so she doesn't have to stick around, but she did all the work for this. As in prior years, we are planning to have Davis County provide our election services for us. The amount is budgeted is approximately $80,000. It will depend upon whether or not we have a primary election, but it'll be $35,000 to $40,000 per election for them to provide those services. And the city will incur additional election-related expenses not covered in this contract, but they'll be minimal. Some of it, most of it is Sophia's time as she works with those that are filing, and we'll have a few other ancillary expenditures that we expect will be around $3,000. But this is specifically an interlocal agreement with Davis County to provide election services. I'm happy to answer any questions, but this is very similar to the interlocal agreements we've signed for the last, I want to say 15, 18 years with Davis County.
Any questions, council?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-04, an interlocal agreement with Davis County for the 2025 elections.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, everyone is in favor. And now we will adjourn to a meeting of the RDA board with a separate agenda. Do we pause? Do we need to pause, or do we go straight to that meeting? Okay, we will pause briefly before heading into the RDA board. Is there a motion? Thank you, yes.
I'd be happy to make a motion that we adjourn from this meeting and reconvene as the RDA board with a separate agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. We will pause briefly, and then we will reconvene as an RDA board.